living legend, I would say, brought jiu-jitsu to the city of Philadelphia. Phil Migliarese.
Thank you. Leave your ego at the door, enter with the beginner's mind.
Being a student of life, beginning every day as a beginner, super important, fundamental to what we believe here at Fuel Hunt too.
And that's what I would say too. Like, an eagle knows an eagle when they meet one.
I have this philosophy. More or less, I'll train with everyone once a week, not twice a week. So we're not going to get 2 rounds. You'll start figuring it out. When you compete now, you definitely have to come up with something new or something to throw someone off, because if they're any good, they already watched you do it to somebody else, and they know it's coming. So practice makes progress. That's what my daughter says.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but progress.
Progress.
Perform with purpose.
There you go.
So that's the whole point. If you do need a little push to perform and you have that final, you have the big reason why you're doing the thing.
Yep.
You remember that every day. So your purpose.
Sure.
If you're a black belt, you should be the most humble in the gym.
Sure.
Like keeping your eyes open, not taking things for granted. That's the hard part. When you know all this stuff, you have to analyze what you take for granted.
Welcome to the Fuel Hunt Show.
What's going on, Eagles? Welcome to the Fuel Hunt Show. I'm Joey. I'm joined, as I always am, by my cousin and co-founder, Drew. Today we have a very special guest. I'm going to embarrass you, man. Living legend, I would say, brought jiu-jitsu to the city of Philadelphia, whether you want to agree with that or not. Drew, right? You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Right? You're great. Phil Migliarese.
Thank you.
So
I'll push back on all that stuff.
yeah, I agree. This is the first time we're meeting in person, so we've traded some DMs, some texts, and things like that. I'm pumped to hear your story live and in person. I think that you have a remarkable life story. We'll get into the accident that you had, how you overcame that, how you got back to training jiu-jitsu. I believe you're one of the first Americans to receive a black belt from the Gracies.
Gracies, yeah.
Yep, from the Gracies. So we'll get into all. We'll get into all of it. And then also what you're doing, today with balance and Tatsu, which you so graciously brought for us today. It's absolutely delicious. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. You started training jiu-jitsu very early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How old?
Started in 1988, so I was a little kid.
Yeah. I'm venturing to say that in America, in the States, jiu-jitsu wasn't all that popular at that time.
No, at that time, I don't think it was East Coast wise. It wasn't anywhere else but Philadelphia. Honestly, I don't know of anyone that was training earlier than that.
Mm-hmm. What got you started? You started training with
Steve Maxwell. So this is how it went. So I've known Steve since pretty much I was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a wrestler and military guy. And so I grew up in combative family. Boxing was all around me. And I always, from my earliest memories, I remember like bobbing and weaving and moving and then just enjoying fighting, but always feeling like there was a better, easier way than putting gloves on and going. I'm like, if someone's bigger and stronger and faster, you're going to get locked up.
Yeah.
So I always had like the Black Belt magazine and things like that. So my cousin and I, who were both equally as interested in combat sports, saw the Gracie in action video. It was a big giant thing in a magazine. Cut the page out,
Yeah, send it in.
Yeah. You get this big VHS tape, which I always, have to describe people what it is. It was a big giant thing that you put in a big box and that played video, right?
Yeah.
And got the tape, and we were just like, whoa. Like saw a boxing.
This is it.
Oh yeah.
You're like, this is it. This is the
Gracies versus the world of martial arts, pretty much on a tape in 1988.
Yeah, that's wild.
Phil's been training jiu-jitsu longer than I've been alive. So
yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So we got the tape, had some mats, and just played around on the mats, just recreating what we saw in the video.
Sure.
Like a jab comes, we go slow motion, grip. We would look at the handwork and, trying to break it down, thinking that we had some secret,
Yep.
And then after that, I forget when it was, a couple years later, my mom and my brother used to babysit Zach Maxwell, who was world champion, Zach Maxwell. And Steve came over, his dad, and said, "Yo, we got a bunch of guys together. We're doing this thing called jiu-jitsu." And I was like, "What?"
You're like,
he's like, "Yeah." He's like, I was like, the Gracies? He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Whoa, okay." Yeah. So for years, about 11 people trained.
Yeah.
just fold out mats, different color mats. You know, he just made the best in his fitness gym. And then, you know, as the years progressed, he learned more. I learned more. But I was a child, you know.
Yeah.
Like you see, like people got their black belts, but I wasn't even old enough to get the black belt.
Yeah.
You see the first Dirty Dozen and all that sort of stuff. We all have pretty similar origin stories by year at least. But I was, I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Then we just worked out, and then, you know, talking about bringing it back to Philly, but that was kind of my mission because no one knew it. So we'll go to California, Brazil, Hawaii, India. He's in India wrestling and doing yoga. And even Thailand too. So with Muay Thai, but you know, my major was jiu-jitsu. My minor was Muay Thai and striking, you know.
Gotcha.
So so that's kind of the beginning.
So when did you're training for a couple of years in exercise, when did you actually meet the Gracies?
Oh, almost immediately.
Oh, okay, good, yeah.
So he had the club, and I think that he sort of advertised the club because of the Gracie connection. So he went to a seminar. I forget what it was, but the Gracies came out to Philly. So first time Elio Gracie was here, Hoyce,
It's amazing.
Horian, and then the next trip I met Relson, who was my direct instructor, and so he and Elio Gracie. That was the reason why I was pushed. You know, that two energies, and even Hoyce as well too, who we're close with. He comes every year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we were, like literally all the Gracies are in the same spot.
Yeah.
All of them were in the same place. Even the Machado brothers, who I'm close with, they were all in the same spot. And then over the years, everyone got their own clubs, affiliates, and all that sort of stuff. Things evolve. And, you know, like if you ever see like lineage, you always see Relson and Elio Gracie, because Elio Gracie gave the thumbs up for my black belt, you know, and then Relson put it on my waist.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
So, so there. Yeah,
So
the beginning was interesting because it wasn't the jiu-jitsu we know today in general, because, you know, there was a challenge put out, and then the real jiu-jitsu, you know, in my eyes still is the reality. Like, you know, when I walk out that door, or if you guys attack me or something.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
No,
It's like, you know what I mean? Like the ion realistic stuff. And then we have this beautiful thing that we can walk into a studio and there are mats and the walls are matted, and then, you know, everyone's instructed not to go as hard as they possibly can. That's good. That's how you train, you know, but, you know, keeping your eyes on the real deal with the real deal movement and, you know, application. I think that's super important. That's not an everyday thing unless you live that every day. And, you know, I hope you don't.
Sure.
But the second piece is just the training, you know, just the lifestyle. That's a privilege, you know?
So sure.
Yeah. But I grew up fighting. So. And I was dumb. I never like backed down. I was like, you want to fight? Okay, let's go. But then when I learned jiu-jitsu, it was just like
So did that calm you down?
No, I was always like, I'm always pretty much exactly the same. And I know that because my mom says that. So that's my marker. I was like, I always like this. She's like, yeah, you're a little weird. Yeah. So it's cool. But I never met.
My mom says it's a little big, so
you know, like all the good weird, where I like learning and I like, you know, advancing and. You know, actually all the stuff you guys stand for, I stand for as well. So,
and fundamental to jiu-jitsu, to advancing in jiu-jitsu learning.
Even using too that fundamental mindset. So when you go in my gyms, it says, it used to say, leave your ego at the door. And I think you might have done those signs, bro.
Yeah. Back in the day, but you changed it recently. You told me when we met up the one day, but you said, what was the new saying that?
It was, please leave your shoes at the door. But now when you walk, it was just the way my original gym was set up. You walk up the steps, you leave the shoes, and then nothing in the gym, all barefoot. But now all the common areas, you know, like someone walks into a bed, it matters where all the other stuff is. So it's shoes, you know, obviously off the mat, and on the mat, no shoes. But now it's leave your ego at the door, enter with the beginner's mind. So if you're a black belt, you know, you should be the most humble in the gym, you know, like keeping your eyes open, not taking things for granted. That's the hard part. When you know all this stuff, you know, you have to analyze what you take for granted. So, so that's what it says.
Yeah, you know. Nice.
I forget where I was going with that, but
No, it's great. I mean, the being a student of life, beginning every day as a beginner, super important, fundamental to what we believe here at Fuel Hunt too. So,
And that's what I would say too. Like an eagle knows an eagle when you meet one. So like when we met, like that's when I knew that you live and abide by the same rules as the people you do. And that's why when I tell someone, like they say, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in this company called Fuel Hunt." And if they say like, "Oh, what's that?" then I know that they're not an eagle, and that maybe. But a lot of people that are eagles and members of the few, they hear, "Oh, Fuel Hunt," and they just get it. They don't have to hear the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, unofficially, I've been compared to the eagle on the Muppets. The dude with the
yes.
People said it. My family members like, there you go. That's
look,
like it looked like.
So you're metaphorically and literally.
I don't even know the character's name. But
if you're gonna be a Muppet,
that's
the Muppet
one.
to be.
Like,
that's the guy to be. Yeah, that's the guy to be. Big broad chest.
Sam the Eagle.
Sam the Eagle.
Okay, there you go. There you go. That's the guy to be.
Yeah, and you could put it as the thumbnail.
I think you can thumbnail.
You got the thumbnail.
Dane's on it. So, thanks for taking us through your story. It sounds like it was wonderful, but there was some hardship. I would.
Oh yeah,
say, like
put it this way, just explaining exactly what jiu-jitsu is every time you talk to. Because I was like, hey, I do jiu-jitsu, but they're like, huh?
It's not like saying it now.
No, now. Like, it's so crazy right now,
When you started doing jiu-jitsu, did you foresee that one day it would be like this?
No. I knew it would be more nationally known. Now it's so international and just every little corner. And then someone finds out that, like, I don't know, I don't broadcast, but he's like, that dude's a 6-degree black belt, like they're like, that's like a cool, like I just traveled. I was in California, my friend's gym, there are a lot of cool people in there. And I didn't realize that, I don't know, I'm so like actor and famous people backwards. I don't know who anyone is unless I know them. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
And I met all these people like, sir, it's an honor, all this sort of stuff. And they're like these famous celebrities. And I'm like, I had no idea. I was like, what are you talking about me? Look at you. It's just, but I'm saying the jiu-jitsu instructor thing now, like billionaires, it's their game now, So I a couple of our instructors are, I don't know if you know Lex Friedman. Like you see Lex is actually teaching Elon Musk and his opponent, Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of funny, but I'm saying now, I didn't foresee that.
So you knew
and that's not why I did it. I do see people. That's lightly why people do things these days. I'm like, for the cool factor. I'm like,
well, I imagine you see through that because
goes through the work before you do all.
I imagine you see plenty of that being where you are in jiu-jitsu and owning schools, but the amount of people that I see personally that start jiu-jitsu and then check in with them a month or two later, 3 months later, it's like, oh, how's jiu-jitsu going? Like, I'm not training anymore.
Yeah, we had a guy visit like a month ago. And I could tell he was like into the cool guy. He's a black belt. He's really nice guy once you get in. So nobody had he had a wall.
Yeah.
And then he came in, I don't think he was going to train. I was like, get on the mat, dude. Yeah. He's like, I threw him off that I was like, no, let's roll. Let's go. Not in a threatening way, but just let's have some fun. Let's move around. And I definitely, I caught him off guard, He was like, he needed to meet I was like, get on the mat. Just go with me and then go with him. And I don't know. I think he was worried about rolling with all the, like, there are young freaks that are just, I don't care what belt you are.
Yep.
You got some problems on your hands. If you address things like you're supposed to beat everyone, it doesn't work. Yeah. You have to moment to moment realities of a match. That's what.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. When there was a point in time, right, in your journey that you had an accident, right?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I had just turned 17, so 2 days after my birthday. So I have a funny way of thinking about it in my mind that I had to reframe stuff. I had my birthday and my rebirthday. I know it's weird and sounds corny, but
you're right up our out
that way.
It's the way I think so.
Because that could have gone the other way. Yeah. And I always say it's not the worst thing that ever happened to me because I'm here walking. I have limitations. it's why I didn't go deeper into, competition. I didn't go deeper. I did a lot of competition, but I did it
afterwards.
But it was a little bit different than other people. And then I had a limit on MMA, which thing that became MMA, and I was fighting early, but it was a little bit different.
Sure.
So it made me make different choices. So 17, I was all happy at 17, got all this money and all these cards. I used to play paintball.
Yeah.
Driving to the paintball place 2 days later, someone went through a red light, drinking and driving. So it bashed me on the side, broke my body up.
Yeah.
Huge fear.
When you say broke your body up, you literally mean
it was.
So you had how many bones are in the human body? 207. Something.
Put it this way: most of my right side got mushed. The worst was the pelvis. The pubic bone, the hip, the sacrum, like that all got. And it was the type of injury that there are no pins. They're just, you had to just heal.
So many broken bones that I have to imagine you were basically like immobile.
Yeah. No, I was immobile for like 6 months. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to lay down on a bed, look at the ceiling, doing a sit up. It was just excruciating.
You couldn't really get out of bed for 6 months? You couldn't really get out of bed for 6 months?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
It was bad. And I was a senior in high school. So,
plus you had almost 10 years of training under your belt at that point?
Yeah, I think in high school I was a purple belt.
Yeah, so you're living you're talking about the lifestyle, like you're living the lifestyle, movement and training.
Oh yeah.
And now you're completely sidelined.
Yep. Yeah.
Completely sidelined.
I mean, growing up doing yoga and jiu-jitsu, more or less, or the majority of things that, that's what I was doing.
Yep.
And to have a doctor tell you like, nah, as a kid, I don't think it's going to happen for you.
Yeah, what was the prognosis like when?
I said I would be uneven, I would walk differently, pain, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And possibly like, I had herniations and discs and, car hits yet.
So bones heal, but there's some things that haven't gone away.
Right.
Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even the brain. I don't even know if I'm slurring right now.
I just got you slurred, man. I just got you slurred.
No, but I had a frontal lobe issue. Oh yeah, my head went. Yeah. Real bad, to the point where, and I spoke about this on a previous podcast too, about not being able to read or write after hard thing to wake up to,
Oh yeah.
And it was a situation where I was literally revived. CPR wasn't there. The heart stopped for a sec. Oh yeah. And the only reason why I know this, my cousin told me who was driving the car. Same guy that we ordered the tape together. So
really?
Same guy. Yeah.
And was he fine after that?
Oh, he got an elbow from me.
Yeah.
Because as we were turning, I looked over and I go, wow, those headlights are always like this. And I was like, I did this. Like I blocked my jaw from a punch. And I went like this. But the elbow like hit him.
Yeah.
So I broke his rib, dude. I got a nice.
That's all you got.
Heavy elbow. So that's why I couldn't do MMA if I hit someone with the elbow.
Yeah. It's
broken a rib. Yeah. But that's what happened. So he witnessed the whole thing. So he replayed every, he thought he killed me.
Yep.
So, well, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
In the car. If you're watching, sorry about that. So yeah, it was one of those events. It was surreal.
Yeah. Yeah. I say accident. I was understating it.
Yeah.
Because
I try to understate it too, because I'm not letting it be a crutch. And then there are people that lost their lives. So I'm not, that's a different,
for sure,
or are permanently disabled. I had a wonderful career, rolling on the floor with people with pajamas.
That's what I was about to commend you on too, is like your perspective. That's one thing.
Yeah, because there's certain parts that empowered me, so I can't.
And there are times
right now
in life for all of us where the voice starts to creep in, like, why me, or this is hard, or why do I get burdened with this? Whereas if you shift that perspective and think like, this happened for me, and this is something that I can take to get better and become a better person, and like you said, your rebirth, like you became a whole new person that day. Whereas a lot of people,
might have.
Could have.
Maybe I have a different personality because I hit that.
New lease.
So at what point in the recovery journey did you shift, or were you always thinking, I'm going to come out of this and be better than I was before? Or was there some
delusions like that of positivity?
So from the day,
sometimes.
So from the day you got down, you were like, I'm going to be back to training in no time. I think that's powerful. People that get sick or injured, or that heal fully and make recoveries that doctors didn't think was possible. it's that delusional self-belief and like, I'm going to get better and there's no other thing that's going to tell me I'm not.
Yeah.
So that was always your prerogative since the first day down.
Yeah. And I also grew up in a way that, like my dad and mom raised us, basics are first, and then so get back to basics first, build up to A and go to B, and don't, we're not
Try to leapfrog.
Yeah. So I always had to, just small little things. I mean, dude, I learned how to walk again. So I lived in my grandparents' house. Their lower level, like the basement, was all fixed up nicely, but their beam's still out, right?
Yeah.
So I learned how to walk again on a freaking beam,
Holding it.
because I couldn't put all my weight on my leg. It was just, bad. So yeah, I learned how to walk again. I learned how to do the sequence in Ashtanga yoga, the sun salutation. So I learned so I couldn't do the whole thing. It was this whole movement, but I can only do small pieces. So I just do the small pieces, put it away for the day, and then next day and next day,
Wide power restraint.
more or less put it back together. Just do what you can,
So you did yoga your whole life pretty much?
Yeah, since I was 8, so 40 years.
Wow. I can't imagine what level of mobility and flexibility that
I
transfers.
think it saved me. Definitely.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Like how big of a part did yoga play in your recovery?
It's like a big part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with the mentality.
You've written about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentality. And then, the idea of doing whatever you can, just day by day. So, and then the whole yoga practice is one day at a time, one layer at a time. So no rush, I train like that. I'm not in a rush. I'm not, just take whatever comes.
Yeah.
But, there was nothing else to do. So you have to just do what needs to be done. Yeah.
What you can.
And so I just take that into everything I do, more or less.
How long was the journey from immobile to back to the mats? A year.
Yeah.
That's really not bad.
But I was still too early. One of my friends, his name's Ryan Dykert, right? I've been training with Ryan for 30 something years. Ryan's like 6'6", over 200, huge guy. 4th degree black belt now, has a gym in Tampa. And when I first came back, man, he whooped my butt, dude. Yeah, but he has it on video too.
That was like your first roll back, or was
more or less? Yeah, it was just destroyed and had this big giant monster go after me.
Damn.
So I spent my whole life just staying one little bit tougher than he is right now.
He's listening. He's watching. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
He's very good. I learned most of my defense is because of him. Put him on my side. I mean, he was big.
Yeah.
I learned all my triangle escapes with him. His legs are so long and just getting the elbow out, and no one ever felt that bad compared to him. And that's also my brother. No one feels at all bad compared to him.
Yeah.
He's animal.
Yeah, I got lucky with the...
I can't imagine the level of soreness in the return back from...
Bad.
Yeah, you're
deep in your bones, man.
Yeah, like at night, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I do it now, John. Why am I doing this? And then I wake up in the morning, okay, now, and 40 years old is different than 28.
Yeah.
Boy, it's different. So I have to be wiser now with the body, even though, like I was telling you guys earlier, I spent the last 2 years like doing a lot of wrestling, like the more or less the sport of wrestling. And if you don't know what you're doing there and you don't go with things, like you don't flow with things there, you can really get hurt with the day to day. Yes. But all those guys are super athletes. They can tumble. They're gymnasts. They're, they flow, and then the way they drill with each other is not taxing.
Yeah.
So it's elegant, if you will.
My son's been wrestling since he was 4 or so, and he's been under a great coach, Coach Diggs out of Council Rock North. But he has them they're warming up for 30 minutes at least before, and it's cartwheels, it's gymnast, like full body, like contorting their bodies in ways that you don't think are the right ways to be contorted. But it just shows like what level of a good coach can teach you about being a full body athlete rather than just a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Because I imagine back in the day, wrestling was just about like be strong, fast, hard, like go. I don't know if that was always the full scale approach to wrestling as a sport.
Technology, imagery, everything's on a phone. I think maybe about the last 30 years, we probably made the biggest jump in sports and combat sports and everything, because you can see your opponent and you can hit them up, you know, you can see their habits. And it's another reason, like I have this philosophy, you know, I'll train with everyone once a week, not twice a week. So we're not going to get 2 rounds. You'll start figuring it out. You know? But then I try like next week to be a different fighter. Maybe I drop to my back 1 week, all guard, right? Next week, you're not going to put me down and I'll try to get your foot. I don't know. I try to change every week.
Yeah. I like that.
So, but my point is, when you compete now, you definitely have to come up with something new or something to throw someone off, because if they're any good, they already watched you do it to somebody else and they know what's coming. So you have to, you know, misdirection is, I think, even more important now in sport.
For sure. Yeah, I think as the accessibility to the information and the tape goes up, the misdirection, it's proportionate. You know what I mean? It's proportionate. So you said time of the accident, you're a purple belt, and then you get back on the mats. First go, a little painful because of your buddy, but you keep going. When do you receive your black belt?
Oh, when was that? Early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
So was balance open at that time, or did you open balance afterwards?
I opened balance. So it's 2002 I got my black belt then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you opened balance. Oh.
I had it open. I was a brown belt when I opened it, like 4th degree.
Okay.
And then, so with Relson Gracie, the important stuff was you have to know the system of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. That's in all those textbooks. It's both stand-up self-defense, takedown striking, and everything we know on the ground, right?
Sure.
It's a little bit different. Elio Gracie, his most important thing for me was to see, he was one of the toughest humans to ever live. Just going to point that out.
Yeah.
And the toughest minded too.
I would love to hear, like,
I'll tell you that in a
I
second.
would love to hear
I'll tell you a lot of
stories about him.
stories.
Yeah.
But his main thing was being a good teacher and kicking ass. I mean, seriously, just, you know, that's what they wanted. And they weren't putting, it took me a little bit longer because they weren't just putting black belts on American weights at that point. You know, it was very, very few. And a lot of the earlier ones came from, not from the Gracies themselves, you know, especially not the Elio Gracie lineage. It was a little bit more selective, you know, for whatever their reasons were, you know.
But that commitment, or their decision to put a black belt around your waist started a long, long time ago when you first met them and they saw, I've got to assume,
Good
right?
point. Yeah.
The material that you had, like the way you trained, who you were as a person, all of that other stuff, and then culminated when you understood the system, right? And got the black belt.
Yeah, and I think like Elio Gracie got a kick out of us. And I say us, including my brother, Ricardo.
Do you think he saw in you and your brother, do you think he saw some of him and his brothers?
Yeah. He saw entertainment too. And I guarantee it, because he'd be like, come here, go with him.
Yeah.
With that big dude. You know, I was like, all right, whatever. Like a stupid, just going with some big guy, you get a kick out of it sitting in, you know.
Sure.
So when we were we lived at the Gracie Academy for most of the 90s in California, where we're back and forth or living there for the duration of time. And then he was there for like 3 years, I think.
Okay.
So I saw him every day, you know. So I spent a lot of time and got a lot of tricks, and I was kind of upset that I wasn't born into the Gracie family and got it, you know, like my uncle was a world champ, you know what I mean? Sure. I was like, man, so I had to do what I could.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, he worked. Worked hard.
And he had tricks so let's go back to my car accident. So I knew I needed these like effortless techniques to continue. So I knew at some point I would get older and I'll get whooped by the big dude that's going to pass my guard and smash me, but let's hold off the tap as long as I can with technique, you know. And Elio Gracie would, you know, there was no like slap and bump. He was just like, let's go. And he would lay down like this and just kind of like you would be on him trying to get stuff. He was so far ahead of you, dude. Just 80-year-old man at that point, died in his 90s.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he had all his bottom game just, you know, figured out. Sure. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So self-defense jiu-jitsu, he was obviously the master at it. But the funny thing is that often people that talk about Elio Gracie jiu-jitsu will talk about Elio Gracie laying down and doing that. He only did that when he was older.
Sure.
He was a killer. There's no way you were putting him down if he didn't want you down.
Sure.
You know, want to be down. So he had that mindset too. So people think, he would like having a good offense and making someone defend is better than laying on your back doing a defense. You know what I'm saying? So offense is as important as defense, but defense will keep you alive.
For sure.
If there are no, can't pick your opponent on the street. The reality is you may have a monster that knows how to punch, and then you're blocking from the guard, waiting for time to pass.
Sure.
That's the realistic piece of it. So
so you lived at the Gracie Academy in California for a little while. How many other Americans are there at the time? I mean, it doesn't sound
12.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And one of my good friends, he actually came from Brazil.
That's an invite. That's an invite only.
Oh no, it was. They went around the states to all the affiliates, which it was just a few affiliates.
Yeah.
I had to fill out a form, but I had already been there when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, all right, this kid will be okay, I guess. And then I hit it off early with Hoist. Hoist was younger, obviously. And I think he had a lot to do with like bring Phil and Rick to the program. And dude, we learned how to teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but you have all the moves in Jiu-Jitsu, right? Standard moves, right? Let's say with the Gracies. On the other side, you have all these ways of teaching it. This is how you present this. This is how you present this. Like quite a, if you look at Elio Gracie's textbook, there should be another textbook that has all the teaching method behind it,
For sure.
So how to make it easier for someone to learn Jiu-Jitsu as far as the foundation is concerned. When you get deeper into sport, it goes by preference sometimes. Some people like invert, some people never fall in their, it goes to preference. And it's almost like that particular person has to show you that particular thing.
Yeah.
So, but the base foundation of the whole thing, that allow you to both fight or you roll around on the mat a little bit. That was Elio's way.
Yeah, I have some stories about Elio. I read, I'm new to Jiu-Jitsu now, like I'm barely 3 years in. I absolutely love it.
That's good.
Absolutely love it. Every textbook that I've read has some type of Elio story in it.
Oh yeah.
Like any type of textbook, anytime. I'm a reader, so I read books. I don't do many instructionals and stuff like that. I read books about Jiu-Jitsu. And like one story I remember, the hotshot wrestler comes to school at the time, and he says basically like, I don't have to beat you, like you have to beat me.
Yes.
Like that's like kind of the mindset that he had, and it was the same type of thing. Like, okay, now let's go.
Yeah.
And he's in his like 80s. It's like we're marked.
Yeah, that's what I said. One of the toughest mindsets that I ever experienced. And it kind of felt like family because my dad was like that. My uncles, my grandfather, my great-grand, they're all tough, but also like entrepreneurial minded, and also like very respectful all at the same time. Like no one would go out picking fights, but they wouldn't back down.
Sure. Sure.
So that's, I got that right away from Elio Gracie.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was cool.
Yeah. So the rules at 80 years old, did he still beat your ass then? Like,
Yeah. Of course, you're not going 100%. And I think I never went there, but I think if he did, he could also, in my mind. Well, let me tell you, it was just all learning and flowing. And I was a little bit smaller when, obviously when I was a kid. And I always just rolled. You don't have to smash and use muscle and stuff like that. So, and it was cool. And then every single time I learn.
Yeah. So the first balance location is the Fishtown location?
The very first location was on 24th and Sansom. So going back 20-something years, first one was there. It was a garage that one of the magazines did an article. Philadelphia Magazine said I had the reporter had to walk through the bat cave to get into this like yoga jiu-jitsu world because I used to have like this. One side was yoga, one side was jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And but you had to walk through this like evil looking parking lot. So you would go up these steps and then it was like dark and so we had that spot, which I felt like I was lucky to get because it was impossible to find space in Philadelphia for cheap. It was impossible. So and then opened up there. Jiu-jitsu.
What was the makeup of the school like? Was it heavier on the yoga or heavier on the jiu-jitsu?
At first, just size-wise, there was more mat space for jiu-jitsu than there was for yoga. Yoga, you can put people like really tight. So
Yeah,
like
sure.
max about 20 people in this class. Jiu-jitsu, if it was a really crazy class, we can lay mats over the yoga side.
Sure.
And then over the years, obviously yoga, there was yoga everywhere. So I felt like that mission of mine, because I was so early in yoga, I became one of the first instructors in Ashtanga yoga, and people in Philly were like flocking in because there was nobody else.
Did you have people cross over from the yoga to the jiu-jitsu
Very
side?
few people, but
Okay.
but what it did, I don't know. My belief is like one culture per box, meaning
Sure.
you can't have multiple, a yoga culture, a jiu-jitsu, even like Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu together. Sometimes there's like, and I think, we kind of have it fairly balanced out, if you will.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Sure.
With the gym, where it's just martial arts, I only teach jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing. We have a level 1, 2, 3. It's all organized. So I kept it at that, and I do, that's one of the reasons. So I did a DVD, yoga for fighters. So I felt like that could be my way of helping martial artists, at least that community, throw some yoga into their training regimen. So I went that route instead of, teaching hundreds of people a week, which is very exhausting.
Yeah.
I would imagine there was a lot of crossover for the jiu-jitsu practitioners into the yoga, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that was
it's work.
probably great for them.
Yeah, when you're doing the yoga work, man, yoga's harder than jiu-jitsu by far.
Oh, yeah.
So jiu-jitsu, while you're rolling, you can forget. Jiu-jitsu, with yoga, everything surfaces. So you could be in that flow state as well, but you discover a lot about yourself after you like roll out a little tiny mat and you have the little tiny, you'll learn a lot of yourself. So
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
whole nother story, maybe a whole nother podcast.
Indeed.
It's trippy. It could be very trippy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they both do the same for me. Similar effects.
I
Like,
can get where you're coming from though, with like the mind kind of turns off with jiu-jitsu, but the mind kind of turns on with yoga. Like I get that.
Well, what I'm saying is that you're absorbed by the present moment. So they're both very present-minded things. One, someone's going to choke your face.
Yeah.
The other one, you may choke your own face with like what you do with your mind.
Sure.
So that's why I always say like they're both self-defense. Jiu-jitsu, obvious. The stuff that you do in yoga is also self-defense. Let's say you have your ego is a little too big and you're a little too, you need to maybe become aware of that. And you're like, you know what? Self-defense. Myself needs to regulate.
I love
So I think you can use it big time for that, because it shows you how to stretch muscles, ease muscles, use muscles, be in positions that you're not comfortable with, or, you have to think of yoga as postures, not stretches. Because after a while you get so flexible, they don't feel like stretches anymore. They're postures or ways of holding yourself. Sure. So that's where the concept of like sitting, like in meditation, which if you're not comfortable or you're not trained, you start wiggling around. And then you're thinking of wiggling and being uncomfortable instead of being comfortable. Like I was talking about sitting back in the seat. It's just the way I sit. I'm off the seat all the time, but by sitting, meditation, you guys don't do it.
Yeah. No, it's like in my subconscious now. Like,
yeah, but it's hard. It's like it's work, because there's a fine little balance in sitting. It's not like hyper arch or rolling back.
Yep.
I have been,
everything's stacked right.
It's funny you say that now. In my meditations, I've been like lying down.
That's
because
good.
I haven't been like feeling. I feel like I'm thinking more about my lower back, sitting in a meditative pose. Then I've heard that also that you shouldn't lie down during meditation.
Well,
like it's better.
It matters where you are in your journey, so that at least you're meditating.
Yeah.
So there that goes. So I'll talk about India if it's okay.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to get there. So
Yeah. That was my dream to go there for two reasons: for yoga, obviously, and the meditative, and that's the history. That's where it is. But also, the history of grappling is right in that same spot. Like, no joke. There are so in Mysore, India, it was also the center for wrestling, gymnastics, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
There's a place called the Mysore Palace, and on the Mysore Palace, you see these statues and engravings, and it shows wrestling, right? And it shows on another part yoga and people on their head, and then deities in the cross-legged position. Super interesting.
Yeah.
So I went there specifically, so my teacher, that's where he lived, and he was the founder of Ashtanga Yogas, a gentleman, Patabi Joyce. And so I wanted to spend as much time. He was kind of like the Elio Gracie. He died in his 90s.
How did you meet him?
So I was like an Ashtanga groupie.
Okay.
So if he came to America, I would go wherever it was, spend 5 days. If he was there, I was there. If he went there. So I just kind of followed. And I first learned it, the Ashtanga practice, which is a set system. Same way as I learned jiu-jitsu. So someone handed me a VHS tape, all right? Research that if you don't know what that is. And I had been doing yoga already, but I didn't have an organized system. Handed me the tape, and I was like, oh my gosh, you start with this, you do this, and they're like put together very nicely. And after I did it, I felt great, and it felt right.
Yep.
And then there's a series 1, series 2. When I got to series 2, which is like getting your blue belt or whatever. No, it's more like getting your purple, because it's no joke. You start second series, it's more backbending. And then when the backbending starts, I think second series is the perfect thing for a jiu-jitsu fighter, because we're all like this, hunched, necked up. Yeah.
Yep.
And the second series is all that way.
Gosh.
Twisting, lifting, pressing. It's interesting.
Okay.
So
you befriended him from when he was in the States.
He knew me, but there were so many students, dude. Like, I don't know if I stood. I could. I mean, now I know he definitely knew me in the end, because he authorized me to teach, and his grandson I know, and but at the time I was just like some kid that was, but I was like a big kid, and he knew like I grappled, and he knew me as a wrestler. So doing the Ashtanga practice, but I was a big giant guy, but I could fold in half. I did the thing, that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
did he have any wrestling or grappling?
I don't know.
In his background?
In his culture, 100%. So we'll talk about culturally. So you see the spiritual aspect of yoga, obviously, right? And then, in America, they kind of mildly pull that out a little bit. Same thing with wrestling. Wrestling has that spiritual aspect. In India, they wrestle on red clay. When you go into the wrestling room, it's all adorned with flowers, and it looks like an altar.
Sure.
So there's that same respect, the same sort of thing. So did he wrestle? I don't know. That's a great question.
Interesting.
If anybody knows that one, I'd love to hear. But he knew I wrestled. So
okay.
And I'm not a wrestler and jiu-jitsu guy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yep.
Grappling. And so
you make it over there.
Finally, after years, I wanted to go. So I spent a couple months there. And then the day I got there, I met a couple wrestlers who invited me in. They're close-knit, no foreigner.
Yeah.
I got a chance to wrestle. Yes. And what I could tell you about it is that the same way like great jiu-jitsu instructors teach in steps and systems, that's how they taught. It was a little bit different than I was used to, like, college and freestyle wrestlers, the way some teach. A lot of the guys that I know now teach that way. But my earlier wrestling, they were like, do it like this. And they're like, you're getting tugged around instead of smooth. The Indian application was super smooth, like a jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah.
And so, I wrestled while I was there, practiced yoga. And, his saying was like, day by day you come, meaning you go to the mats day by day. You just keep doing it, And his other quote was, this is Patabi Joyce. It's 99% theory, right?
Yes.
And 1% is, what is it? 99% practice, 1% theory. That's the brain.
So right in line with day by day.
Yeah. It's just all practice,
Yeah.
So practice makes progress. That's what my daughter says.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but progress.
So
it's good.
We say that around here too.
Yeah. That's it. You guys started probably selling one shirt.
Yep.
And now, everyone's
seeing. Yeah, it just gave them away. But
that's a major point. That's the same thing with this, man. The majority are, just having people try it. Cans in hands is the
cans in hands, shirts on backs, cans in hands.
So that's the best way to do it, I think.
We know that. So bring us up to speed. So now you have multiple balance locations, right? So you have Fishtown location. You have a location on 21st Street in Philly.
Yeah. So where are we? Main location or headquarters, where a lot of administrative stuff happens, is in Fishtown. So that's like our headquarters. Center City, which was our original spot, now is on 21st and Chestnut. And then I have a Northeast school with my cousin Frank. And then we have a new location in Haddonfield, New Jersey.
Nice.
So we partnered with a Haduko Center. It's a giant building out there where,
Nice.
Probably do a grand opening. There's classes running now, but we're going to do a grand opening in the fall.
Nice.
So, and then there are about 60 other locations in our affiliate list.
Got you. So if somebody wants to find out more about balance, where can they go?
Teambalance.com. Yeah.
Teambalance.com. Cool. So outside of balance, you also have something else going on, right? So you want to talk about Tatsu?
Yeah, Tatsu. Growing up, I always had like little side gigs. So I recently just retired from the marketing world, which I used as a side gig alongside of me, like competing and teaching. So something I could do on the side. I was always nervous about the jiu-jitsu business. I'm like, man, can you make a living? Can you, like I was always paranoid. So I was like, I have to have a backup. So I was in the marketing world for a while. And then the last few years of that adventure, I was working in the food and beverage marketing, and I started meeting many, many people in the beverage world. And throughout the years, I wanted to bring to market something like a consumable that was actually beneficial for the jiu-jitsu lifestyle or the fighting lifestyle or the entrepreneurial lifestyle, something that that we all kind of connect with and can use functionally. But I didn't want to like sell out with half of the things that I was pitched, powders, things that I just knew in my heart weren't, I wouldn't really get behind. Always been a fan of matcha. And then Todd, my partner on this, there are 5 partners in Tatsu, came to me with a powder, which both of you guys had and liked. So you like the outcome, like boost your mood, make you feel like more alert and alive. And that, that's been happening for 2,000-3,000 years from Japan and China with matcha.
Not with all the other health benefits that come along.
Oh, just huge. Yeah. And these days there are more studies done about long-term use of matcha in the States, and this stuff is just coming out. And I didn't want to recreate anything so dramatically or reformulate something that is just like, we have a handful of ingredients. That's it. You can pronounce everything. And so Tatsu tea.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. But the use goes back to like samurais. Yeah. That's what I think is super cool. Samurais did jiu-jitsu. Samurais drank matcha for,
I think that's why Joey started drinking it, actually. Joey...
I'm a big fan of Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And like we were kidding around before the show, but like I literally have my ceremony kit over there. You know what I mean? So I'm like a green tea or matcha in the early afternoon.
What do you think so far?
I love it.
It's good.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love the lychee that you have in there, like the addition of it. I absolutely love it.
It's only very light.
I think I'm going to replace my my ritual in the afternoon with Tatsu now.
No, mix it up. Do both.
Yeah. Do both.
I think it's good because you can feel like hot or cold.
Yeah. This is true.
So
this is true.
And what I'm going to do, I should have brought it with me, but so my partner, Todd, who you both of you guys know, he traveled to Japan and studied the tea ceremony and did martial arts while he was there, and his instructors from there and taught him the tea ceremony, and he was recently just there to our ingredients manufacturer, the matcha farm. Super interesting. There's a clip of it online. But
check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. We're gonna put another piece together too of just seeing like the quality of the actual matcha and how important that is on taste and effect. But
when you pick the leaves,
but he brought back some of the matcha that you could actually use. I'm gonna grab some, and then I want you to, because you'll get a chance to experience what's actually in there.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So to get it into this form, it's a light extraction process. So to keep the benefits of the matcha, but not like, some people describe it as like eating grass, like some people don't like that. I dig it. I like that taste.
Yeah, the same.
But majority of people are trying to, there are matcha lovers and matcha haters. So we're trying to appeal to both.
Yeah, that's why like the little bit of natural sweetening, is
Just
nice.
drop a little stevia in our matcha.
Hey, I'm like,
Do you put it in there?
no,
No.
I'm like,
I do.
I like to, drink the grass.
Yeah.
That's
It's just everyone's different, and
Yeah.
I just think like the important part is getting the benefits of matcha and what it is naturally.
That's
So,
also hot though. Like
yeah.
when it's cold, I enjoy that it has a little bit of a sweet
Yes.
taste to it. So
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny. It feels like so dialed on the matcha that like when
I got you started on watching.
like, but when when you brought it up, when it gets brought up to Phil, like he like kind of locks it. He's like, wait, so do you like it like that? Like he's like he's taking a poll. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, like this matcha drinker like this. Like I see his brain like fire.
Yeah.
Because we say it's our fuel, not our flavor.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the idea, it's not hiding it necessarily, but bringing out the flavor of lychee, which is super light carbs,
Yeah.
but it's a natural, a natural thing. And my major use, so we were originally in packets years ago, and my thing from working in the marketing of cans and frozen goods and stuff like that, I wanted to put it in a can. So it took us a little bit to reformulate from that packet to ready to drink, to actually tasting good, that you would actually pick it up in 20 minutes, half an hour before your training, whatever that may be.
Yep.
Even for, we have a lot of developers that are on their computers all day long, and you'll see one of these next to I don't know if it's you guys too.
That's my
yeah.
background.
Yeah.
So
So
that's actually like, aside from my just love of Japanese culture, that was another one of my inroads into matcha,
yeah,
because
it's
I didn't want to drink like everybody on my team is drinking Coca-Cola all day. Like it's a typical programmer thing. Like
Yeah.
do
Oh, I see it.
other people were drinking coffee all day. Like I didn't want to do that. So that's why I turned to matcha. But that was me. Like, but I had matcha next to me while I was coding. So yeah,
But it's good having something like this crack. You
Yep.
can just,
for sure.
but yeah, we tested out on all those types of people. So we want something for athletics, something just the key word is uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
So wanted that without being, something with too much caffeine, too much sugar.
Yeah, and they're like
things that you
stimmed
can't
out.
even- yeah.
It-
Stimmed
you
out. There you go.
That's the worst feeling.
It tastes real. It doesn't taste like a fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the process. That was the hardest part, honestly. Just taking it from super tea taste to, something that could be considered a sports drink too.
So many iterations I've got to imagine. Iteration,
Five.
iteration. Yeah,
5 big ones.
yeah.
So,
And each one probably took an exorbitant
it took
amount of
time. Yeah. so this more or less started about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And pandemic got in there for 2 or 3 years.
yeah, sure.
Put it on the back burner. And about a year and something ago, we started,
Back.
So we brought on partner-wise, I think it's super important to start, especially beverage, because it's very uncommon to win. You have to have a heck of a team to start, before you start hiring, before you start these things require tens of millions of dollars to really get to market.
Mm-hmm.
So, so from there, so Todd came to me. I partnered up, and then I brought our friend Bill Thano, who's also a black belt, and everybody trains jiu-jitsu. They have to. So
Yeah.
this company, that same way, everybody has to train.
Exactly.
So we have Bill in there. So Bill's an expert in packaging,
Okay.
logistics, warehousing, anything you would need packaging
Yeah.
for beverages or whatever. He's been doing it for over 20 years. And then my brother, who not only is he fantastic at social media and stuff like that, his back end abilities, meaning numbers and crunching numbers, which he loves to do. He's the genius behind.
You wouldn't think that.
People think I do all the balance stuff. Is Rick? He does everything because he keeps all the books. He keeps all the financial stuff in order, which I'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's balance, the real balance of balance. It's all Rick. And then my other partner, Mike Gracie. So Mike is a startup lawyer by trade. His claim to fame, which I talk about all the time, and he'll never will, but he was one of the founding partners of Venmo. So,
Okay.
So he's very familiar with, raising capital and the legal side, which you have to be very, very focused on to start a beverage brand. So, and he was the 5th partner that came in, and all of us together,
Yeah.
3 truckloads later, still in a major, more or less testing phase, but we're on shelves. We're not in major retail, which I don't want to be yet. But like I said, we're testing in different areas, CrossFit, Jiu-Jitsu.
Nice.
It's working.
Love it.
Working for where we are now. It's good numbers for where we are right now. So
things built to last, take time to build. It's where we're at.
It's the truth. And
it's also why
the stats of people that raise all this money and hurry to market, which I call it, tend to fail very as fast as they, you know.
Yeah.
So we have the luxury where we start a company, we don't have to take anything from it forever.
Sure.
So we're in a spot where we can do that, and that's uncommon too. So
Operating from a place of abundance like that is
well, it's privilege too, because we're all in a place where we can do that.
Yeah, but it makes you guys dangerous, like as a business, to not have to operate on scarcity mode all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And like I said, the privilege part of it is like, you know, so if we make a mistake now, we're making $1,000 mistake instead of a $10 million mistake. You know,
of course.
So we're learning. It's a process.
Yep.
And there's no going to school for it. You have to learn from. We have a Grand Slam advisory board, which all these people are more or less born into the beverage world.
Sure.
You know, these are, you know, guys that are previously with like Body Armor and Gatorade and, you know, huge bottling companies are all on our side, on our team to help us out. So, and big fans. One of them's a huge fan of it, like drinks more than anyone I know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The power of the right mentors or people in your corner.
Yeah. So these are all like the red belts.
Yeah.
There you go. They're all the red belts of the company. And then, you know, we're definitely white belts. So I'm not trying to go for a blue belt anytime soon.
Is there any limit to the amount you recommend drinking in a day, or is it?
It's according to body weight. It's 52 milligrams of caffeine. So you can go by that, I think, you know. You can get overstimulated, obviously, but you have to drink quite a few to really get overstimulated. So it picks you up enough that you can put your gear on and go to your class. Get your gear on, go to the gym. You know what I mean? Or get the work done. Sometimes I do. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have the Tatsu right now.
Open the laptop and get the work done.
Seriously. Yeah. Like I just don't, like I'm missing something in my brain just for a second.
Yeah.
And there are studies too recently. And there are 2 or 3 that when they're solid and when they're fully published, I'll talk more about them, but I'm talking with the people doing them for Matcha's ability to improve ADHD, ADD, and a lot of other sort of, you know, problems or, you know, like that, the things that could be problems. Like there are friends of mine that are ADHD that are not only like some of the wealthiest people I know, some of the craziest and most disorganized and brilliant and all this, you know, all these extremes, you know, that they find somehow that balance for a moment to get their thing done. And they're, you know, I have a little bit of that, but I also have, you know, that's where the yoga comes in. I know I can sustain focus for a long time, but I also go, you know, ask my wife, she'd be like,
bounce around like
what's wrong with this guy? But I also think that like bouncing is exploration too,
it is
with the mind. As long as I see your notebooks, you just, if you can download it, I think it's great to purposely bounce. You know, there are good meetings to have too with corporations. Like there are no bad ideas in this meeting. You can bounce all you want, and you know, some ideas are good, some are definitely just going to trash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that's how you find the good ones. You have to explore, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's uncharted.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to bounce around. You're essentially building the map, your map.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To where you want to be. So where can the few that are listening and watching get Tatsu tea?
TatsuTea.com. So now you can order a full case, which is 24 cans. And then if you're not thinking of all that, we have a smaller 12 pack that a beautiful box. We just stocked those up, and they're actually going faster than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really surprising. Like you guys it's my kind of first time with anything outside of jiu-jitsu direct to consumer. I'm seeing this. I'm like, where are all these people coming from? Like, so then they're in the jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, fitness, and just like general, like you said, the developer world, entrepreneurial world, big time.
That's, I mean, 2 things.
And people are making better choices these days. So that's kind of I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just to say the mission partly is to be a gateway. So drink a Tatsu first to make better choices in your life. So the gateway to well, we don't need to eat that. We don't need to talk to that person. Like there are people you have to withdraw from too in life.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying the gateway is that's one of the important, and it's only a beverage. So it's not,
And also if you're making the conscious decision to drink a healthy drink like a matcha, that start little microscopic decisions like that start to overflow into other areas of your life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All of those areas that you described, they're people that are like acutely aware of their inputs and their outputs, right? Like what they put into their body, what they put into their mind, and how that reflects their output, whether it's on the mats, in the gym, the office.
And our tagline is perform with purpose.
There you go.
So that's the whole point. So
And
there you go.
if you do need a little push to perform and you have that final, you have the big reason why you're doing the thing.
Yep.
You remember that every day. So your purpose.
Sure.
And from what I'm aware of, the Japanese are some of the healthiest people, like at least where matcha derived from. Like the books I've read.
According to my friend from Japan, no.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
a shit like from health and longevity. I read a book on health and longevity, like but those people, back when matcha was derived, they would live a very.
There's a shift, I think, in Japanese culture that went towards the bar scene and drinking. It's like, what's interesting is there's a shift happening in the opposite direction now. I just read an article, I think it was Sapporo, that are like aggressively pursuing NA versions called beer because there's a population in Japan that's stepping away from that. Like
it's not only Japan.
Grind at the office, go out and drink all night, eat fried food, do it again.
The mocktail market, the NA market in general is a multi-billion-dollar market. So I purposely put it into that can, that dark, because I thought it fit well in nightlife as well. So there's like we say like matchas, if you don't drink coffee, it's good for the morning. If you like coffee, make it your second coffee. So I have an application all through the day. But like more or less pre-gaming before you go out to a club or whatever without doing anything alcoholic, and you can still stay interesting.
Yeah.
You can drink water. My friend's like, I see people with liquid death. I love liquid death. I like the seltzer. I love it. Yeah. But he's like, that guy's like kind of a square. He's like, you drink Tatsu, you're kind of a little cooler.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
He said that. Liquid death train.
It's good. It's good. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I appreciate the marketing. I appreciate the story. Mike Cesario is the founder. And, that's kind of the reason why I was just in California was to go to the origin of a lot of different beverages.
Nice.
That's right there, right in Hermosa Beach, right out of Hermosa Beach. You have a lot of big brands that's where they test it first. That's where they're from. It's a big beverage, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Nice. Anything else you want to talk to Phil about? Phil, this was great.
We'll have to do a part 2 first.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2.
I think
down the street. So
part 2. But we're going to take you up on it rolling before.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah, we'll get some.
Joey will roll with you.
Yeah, no, we'll do that.
I'm pumped to learn. I'm pumped to learn.
No, it's so much fun.
Maybe we'll do it on location at your school.
Whatever you want. Yeah,
we are.
I'm down.
Sign a Dane up for.
We are working
on location.
Yeah,
that'll be Dane's first jiu-jitsu class.
What's that?
That'll be Dane's first jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
We'll do the first one in a second.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
It'll take 30 seconds. But you'll see it. No, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to show you the Elio Gracie method.
Yeah.
So you don't need a mat. You don't need to fall. You don't need to just learning. So it starts standing, then goes to the ground.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Yep.
So
Dane, keep the cameras rolling.
Yeah, keep them rolling. So where, we talked about balance, we talked about Tatsu. Where can our community find you, Phil?
Online, you mean?
Yes.
You can look under Jiu-Jitsu Matrix, pretty much on all social, or Facebook is under my name. But I was told by my brother that I have to be more social online. I cut back. Now he just hit 100,000 followers, my brother. So, but he's on there all the time. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So if I get 10,000 soon, I'm good.
Yeah. So it's some more of the inside balance, like you were talking about before.
Yeah. Do that sort of stuff. So just to have fun with it. I have fun with this stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can't thank you enough for
thanks for
coming
me.
Coming in, being on the show, also believing in what we're doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Believing in what we're doing, believing in our ethos, you know what I mean? That lines up with yours. So extremely grateful for that.
Better.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. I'm going to leave the few with this. Always choose hard work over handouts. Always choose effort over entitlement. No one owns you. No one owes you. You're one of the few. Let's hunt.